On the clock, Pecan, 2 seconds, Pecan for the lead, got it! He got the record at the buzzer! The breaks for three, buried! Gallagher pulls up, Gallagher rims it out the field! Slams it down! Pooley up ahead, Dombrowski, the freshman off the window and one! Go back to Evans, corner three, got it! There's Rowe with the exclamation point! As Dunny slams it down! Far side, Dawson unloads, knocks it home, Jenna Dawson! By Teslovich, Epps puts it on the floor. Rice looks to drive in, Epps floats it up, got it! He got it! There's 1,000 for Bryce Epps!
We are live here at His Place Coffee Community and More in Monessen for episode number 78 of the Valley Sports Guys podcast here on MVI Live. Thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday. Jose Negron, Jeremy Salou, Alex Lyons, Liam Bellin here to talk some high school sports. Guys, this is the first time we've in a while that we've had the full crew. So
we're not alone, Jose.
No, we are not alone. We got our crew back together. It feels nice. Jeremy, good to see you.
I can't hear anything again.
Well, great way to bring Jeremy in.
I'm back and I'm broken. So
you can hear Jeremy for the first time in a while.
I don't know if there's anybody that really wants to hear me though.
I mean, I can't disagree with you, but yeah, I mean, it's good to have you guys back in the fold. I know Liam has been hard at work on the news side of things, so anytime we can get him over here for the sports side of things, it's good to see you, Liam.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Again, I mean, always a pleasure to come into the sports side and, do my thing here. I'd say I'm more of a natural here. More of my talent lies
you're
here.
You're in your element.
I'm more
now.
in my element
Yes.
here, yeah, for sure.
Media Day was the first time I saw you in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You've been doing a good job on the news side though.
Thanks.
You've been doing good.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
Right.
Trying to bring the people what they need. You know?
What happens here matters here. That's what I heard. That's what I've heard that was a thing.
And you know what else we say, Jose, about this stuff?
What?
You can't make it up.
You can't make it up.
Can't
no.
make
You
it-
cannot
yeah.
make it up. So we'll start out here. Obviously, a lot of things to really discuss here. Winter sports season wrapping up. Obviously, state championships going on for our local swimmers over at Bucknell University. We have PIHL playoffs in hockey. We have state playoffs for basketball. A couple teams left there. But we're going to start out by kind of talking a little bit about the spring sports season and a little labor of love that is coming out tomorrow
How about
morning.
we break some news? Mitch Keller's starting opening day for the Bucks.
I just saw that.
That is great news. Great news,
So-
I guess. I don't know.
Hopefully he could throw all 9 innings because nobody else.
They
seemed
don't
to
have
throw
any
anything in the
relievers. So breaking news, yeah, Mitch Keller starting opening day for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But in some bigger news, the start of the spring sports season means baseball and softball back in the Mon Valley in the WPIAL.
We're actually going to see successful teams on the field.
We are
days
going to see,
away.
we are going to see successful baseball and softball teams on the field just 2 days away. The season will open up with some local action this weekend. We'll get to that here in a second, but want to first kind of just produce this product that we've been working on for the past
I would have brought
week
mine,
and a half.
but my dog ate half of it, so that's not a lie.
Your dog ate your homework?
My dog
Okay,
ate my
whatever,
homework.
Jeremy.
She obviously enjoyed it, so I hope everybody else does too.
But this is a prototype. This is a prototype of the product that will be out on shelves tomorrow with tomorrow's Mon Valley Independent. First Pitch 2023, our annual baseball, softball preview section. Previews for all of our local teams. Very excited for everybody to read this product. Me, Jeremy, Liam have some content in it. So we are very, we're looking forward to seeing people, take a look at everything that's involved in this. A lot of local teams, a lot of, good storylines coming into the season, but don't have the cover here because I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
But this was a lot of hard work went into this.
It was, and it's fun to do. And I'll tell you what, it makes it so much easier to do now that we do the media days. I mean, we did a lot. I mean, I wrote more stories for this than I wrote in the last few tabs, but it didn't seem like it was that much of an issue because, we bring everybody into one place. We got to talk to everybody, and it's just a matter of just putting everything together. So, thank you, everybody that came out for the media day at Cedarbrook on the 5th. It was a great time, good food. Got to see some banter between the coaches and, see how those coaching bonds, start and they start to develop and the relationships all the coaching community has with each other. So it was great to see. I know if you check out on YouTube tonight at 7 o'clock, we did the documentary. The Faces in the Crowd is what it was named. And you'll see right on the YouTube page, I think it premieres at 7. So, 6.5 hours, 5.5 hours away, whatever it is. I can't do math today. I'm sorry. 6.5 hours away. And, there's a picture of Brian Zarenda and Donnie Hartman, two old rivals showing off their championship rings. Great picture of them two doing that.
The goats.
Got to hear them talk. But it was great to see all the players. All the players were great with their interviews. I know Alex interviewed a bunch of kids. And Liam as well. It was just a good time. It was fun to do. We started it with basketball. We did it now for baseball, softball. We'll be back in probably early August for football media day. So we're excited. We're glad we get to do that. I know everybody, all the kids have talked on. You see it on Twitter, Instagram about the fun they had there being part of it. So it was great, good time.
Yeah, and we will have that documentary, like Jeremy said, available tonight at 7 o'clock. So be sure to tune in to our MVI Live YouTube channel for that. But I want to kind of get into a little bit of baseball and softball. Of course, you can read all of our preview stories in tomorrow's First Pitch 2023, which will be available in tomorrow's Mon Valley Independent. But I want to kind of touch a little bit on maybe just some storylines to watch for all four of us. Maybe just start out by talking about what's the one thing that you're kind of looking forward to seeing as we go through the baseball and softball season. We'll start with Jeremy and maybe just go down the row here and talk a little bit about it.
I'm really excited to see softball side Bell Vernon and Fraser. I think out of those teams, they brought back the most from last year. They both were, I think Bell Vernon didn't make it to the championship. Obviously, Elizabeth Ford did. But I think that they have an offense. Both of those teams are very similar. It's just going to matter on the pitching. The pitching is the unknown. Frazier got Madison Bednar back. Nicole Balmer is gone. So Madison Bednar takes over there. And then with Bell Vernon, it's the duo of Olivia Kolowitz and Talia Ross. But runs are not going to be a problem for either one of these teams. They're going to put the ball over the fence. They're going to put the ball in play. It's going to be real exciting to watch. Baseball-wise, I think it's a matter of who's going to be able to bounce back. Can Bell Vernon bounce back? Ringgold bounce back? We know they're very talented teams. I think Ringgold, though, is more senior-oriented than Bell Vernon. I know Ringgold, talking to Coach Roberts for the preview, Ringgold was pretty disappointed with their season last year, but they also have to keep in mind they played probably in the toughest section in 4A. I mean, you had the Whitfield champion come out of there in West Mifflin. And then, just on both sides of the field, on the baseball, softball side, it's how is realignment going to affect everything? So hoping to see some good rivalries reignited. And from that aspect, see which of our teams can make a run. I know Elizabeth Ford got some talented freshmen coming up. So it's going to be real fun to watch.
Yeah, I think for me on the softball side, I'm interested in seeing if Sarah Catholic can take that next step. They bring back every single member from last year's team. Did not lose a single player. Obviously led by the dynamic duo of Carolyn Melandra and Lida Wose. But there's a ton of other talent there. You got Olivia Gergley, you have Tori Tom, Madison Zigorovich back in the pitching circle for them. So, I think they took a step last year. They've I think they want to try and build off what they were able to do a year ago. That's the biggest goal for Denny Williman and his team, and I'm interested in seeing how Sarah Catholic does this year. They're still in 2A, and to see if they could take that step with a team that now has a good amount of experience coming off a pretty successful year last season, despite their playoff loss to Charleroi. On the baseball side, I'm interested in seeing just how these new coaches do. A lot of first-year coaches. Obviously, we know about the Monessen Bentworth, and then Monessen Bentworth trade with Sean Chory going to Monessen, Billy Matush going to Bentworth. We have Dan Palm taking over at Yock with Craig Spizak going over to Norwin.
Go Knights.
Go Knights. We have Taylor Andrisco taking over at California. Love being able to talk with Taylor. I was able to go down to one of California's practices since they weren't able to make it to media day, and just love being able to see what he's doing there and being able to see what he's been able to accomplish with a pretty veteran-heavy group there over at California, guys that have been there the last few years and have experienced some success, some struggles. So that's I think helped him a lot in this transition. But it seems like he's ready for that next step of taking a head coaching role after a few years as an assistant over at Charleroi. So a lot of new coaches here in the Valley on the baseball unit, even on the softball side. But interested in seeing how they do in their first years.
And I thought something that you said it's something that Caroline Melandra told me is that they want to prove the baseball team's not the only spring sports team there at Sarah Catholic worth talking about. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's definitely a big team, but you have teams in the Valley moving around in section. Jerry mentioned Fraser. They're going down to 1A. You have Yock moving down. But Elizabeth Forward, I think they have those tools. Yeah, you lose some big pieces, but I think you have a lot of talent coming in. And, one person I look at on that EF softball team is Olivia Grimm. Coming into her second year, didn't play basketball this year because she wanted to focus on softball. And I think she is absolutely going to be a centerpiece of this, not just, helping with Shelby Telegdi when she's in the circle. I mean, we know how good Shelby is all around the field. And then you have Grimm just offensively, defensively, I think really can mature into a really talented leader. We already know how good she is for EF, but yeah, you lose some big pieces in Grace Smith, but you have a lot of talent coming back behind Smith and Markland, who are both key losses. And I think they could be primed to finally find a way to, just take that extra step this year, inside the softball ranks in 4A. And then on the baseball side of things, a team that very much intrigues me is a team that's the opposite. Sarah Catholic, everyone talks about the baseball team. Fraser, everyone talks about the softball team. But, I've been talking to John since he took over that head coaching job, and he says he thinks this is a year they finally start to turn that corner, and the players seem to think so as well. You have Logan Brown, who's been very good since his freshman year. Brock Alexson's starting to continue to come into his own, and he's gotten better each and every year. And if he takes another step this year, Fraser's going to have two pitchers. That's a big thing to have when you have to play these double headers, and I think they finally maybe have that talent to take the step forward and compete and make it into the postseason, but they're going to have a tough section. You get Charleroi in that section. I mean, I think that's a team maybe finally you're going to see them turn the corner, and then next year when you have a very talented 8th grade class going into freshman year, that is going to be a good baseball team that John Malone has been continuously and slowly but surely building into the best team men's sporting program at Fraser. Obviously, we know how good they are individually at wrestling, Ruin 3 for 3.
Right. And I wanted to also touch on, you mentioned EF too. They have a good amount of returning starters. I mean, you look at, you mentioned obviously them having Shelby Telegdi back, them having Olivia Grimm. Carly Sukup took a really big step forward last year, hit well over 300.
Lauren's back, right?
Lauren Vey, an IUP recruit, is back. Sukup hit 385 last year. Vey hit 424, which was a big step from her sophomore season. They have Grimm, who hit 323. They have Julia Johnson, who hit over 300 a year ago, who might actually get some time in the pitching circle as well as the backup to Telegdi.
Gamiliano played
Bella
first.
Gamiliano.
Then DH.
Right, and in addition to that, you have a 10-player freshman class that's coming in that includes Julia Resnick, who could be a top of the lineup type of hitter for the Warriors right away.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of holes to be filled for Elizabeth Ford as they go on their Florida trip, as they do every year. A lot of kind of battles. For Harry Rutherford, nothing's really guaranteed. There's always position battles. You'll read more about that in tomorrow's Mon Valley Independent.
I think defensively is your only concern. EF's going to be able to rank the ball. Obviously, when you run into Peyton List in the championship game, things are a little different. She went to Virginia for a reason.
Right.
I mean, she is phenomenal in everything she did at the softball field. But defensively, you lose the middle of your infield. That's where offensively you return a lot. Yeah, those two are big pieces. But if you can find a way to fill those positions defensively, and I'd imagine Coach Rutherford going to feel this way. He knows he has so many talented hitters coming back that those two positions are probably going to be more defensive centric, because you need to be able to defend, and then the offense will come, especially if, two of your hitters out of your 9 aren't as strong as the other 7, but the other 7 are batting 350 or better. You're okay.
Yeah. And don't be surprised if Lauren Vay takes one of those middle infield spots. She could be coming in from the outfield. I know that things might change as they go to Florida, and different positions might be settled there. But
remember, Olivia Grimm didn't have a starting catching job outright going into Florida last year, and I mean, we saw how good she became.
Yeah, and EF definitely plays a lot of good competition down there. So a lot of questions will be answered once they go on that Florida trip. But Liam, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, for me, I think going into this season, both sides, baseball and softball, I'm interested to see how these Valley teams are defensively. And the reason I say that, I know it's kind of vague, but pretty much every single coach that I talk to for previews, you go through, and one of my questions typically was, what do you feel strong about? What do you feel good about with your team? What do you feel may not be so good? And more often than not, I think every single coach actually told me they loved how they were defensively. They loved how they were pitching, or how they looked. And they said they might have to go through some, maybe some small ball, maybe some other ways to try and get some offense going. But it sounds like throughout the entire Valley, again, all the teams that I talked to, and you guys have mentioned, there's obviously some star-studded teams throughout that will have that offense, obviously. But I'm interested to see low run kind of defensive battles, really. I mean, just fundamental baseball, softball, and see if they can close out some close games, which, obviously down the line when you want to make noise in the playoffs, it's obviously such an important thing to have a pitcher you can go to, and reliable infield, and, just reliable defense. And then looking again at both sports, I think with the realignment, I think with now 2 baseball sections and 1 softball section that feature 3 of our teams, I think that's going to be really interesting. I think Jeremy spoke earlier about kind of seeing new rivalries sort of develop, and obviously these teams have history with each other and other sports and everything. But you look at Class 4A, that Section 3, EF, McKeesport, and TJ all in one, so you get to see them play. Class 2A, you look at Section 1, Bentworth, Charleroi, Fraser, and then that's in baseball. And then on the softball side, you look at Class 4A, Section 2, Belle Vernon, EF, Ringgold. So, 3 teams out of our coverage area in one section, and then you look at that a few times. I think that's going to be real interesting for us, here in the Valley, kind of the community, to see local players going together, or playing together, I should say, playing against each other. And I think it'll make for entertaining matchups, and also kind of give us a gauge of where our teams are, especially in that Class 4A Section 3 again, because TJ has high hopes. That's one of the teams that I covered in baseball, but you've got West Mifflin in there now. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how those sections play out, and it'll give us a good test to kind of gauge where our Valley teams are throughout this season.
It definitely makes it easier for us when we cover those Valley matchups with 2 Mon Valley teams. Wanted to kind of go back to what you said about defense and pitching. I think it really has helped baseball teams in terms of getting that consistent pitching, the back-to-back games, forcing teams, I think, a little more than usual of finding out just how much depth they actually have pitching-wise. Going into the season, I'm sure now more so than ever, with those back-to-back games, coaches are saying, all right, well, who are some of my position players that can pitch? Who are other guys who can, get on the mound and give us quality innings? Because right now in baseball, you can't just rely on a 2 or 3 pitching staff, and you need to have guys who are position players who are going to be able to give you some quality innings throughout the season as well. And we see that a lot with Sarah Catholic. A ton of pitching depth for them. Zach Karp, the leader of that staff, but they have some other guys who can throw the ball as well. Guys like Owen Dombrowski, Isaiah Petty, Michael Shank. I mean, they have an entire staff. I know there's one pitcher in particular that Brian Zarenda is really excited about, who just came out for the team this year after being at Sarah the last 2 years.
Read about that.
I won't even say anything about it. You can read about it in tomorrow's First Pitch 2023.
Find out his name.
Yep. I won't talk about it. I won't even say his name.
It's funny because I was reading, when we make corrections, and I was like, whoa, who's that? I was like, who?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
Alex is so interested. He's going to look now.
He's going to look right now. He's going to get a little
I'm going to see them so much this year like we did last year.
You got to know who it is. And I know Brian Zarenda is really excited about what he saw. He was kind of one of those things of, where have you been? He plays baseball, but he has not played at Sarah, even though he's been there the last 2 years. He just hasn't come out for the team. And then finally decided to come out for the team, and Brian was just very impressed by what he brought on the mound. Could be a starting pitching caliber. He's Brian Zarenda's type of pitcher.
Hey, and just remember, Brian's talked about Zach Karp not even being the best pitcher on this team this year.
Right, and
how hard is that to even fathom that Zach Karp, who is just the golden left arm, might not even be the best pitcher.
Zach Karp is going to, and the big thing I think for them is, they want to try and, I know Zach is going for the all-time wins record. He's 11 away from tying it. Elaine Gurman currently has that record, a guy that, Karp has really kind of idolized. I know he talked a little bit about getting to meet him at the Sarah baseball reunion in February, and how cool that was to get to meet him. But so that's something he's definitely chasing, but also, they kind of want to try and limit him a little bit, try and keep him fresh, because, they have big postseason goals. Obviously, they want to repeat as Whitfield champions. They want to try and make a state playoff run. Very motivated group after losing in the first round of the state playoffs last season. But there's a lot of pitching, on that Sarah Catholic team. They have so much depth there, and it goes back to what you said, Liam, about, teams just being very happy with how, where they are right now, pitching wise, and defensively. And Sarah Catholic is definitely in that category. A team that's going to score a lot of runs, and a team that can really rely on a very talented pitching staff. But you can read more about the Sarah Catholic baseball team and all of our other local baseball and softball teams in tomorrow's baseball tabloid, which will be featured, like I said, in tomorrow's Mon Valley Independent. Little insert. Excited about the cover. The cover looks pretty cool as well. Very, very excited about this product that we had to kind of work on pretty quickly.
Right.
Had media day last Sunday, and
it's funny though, because I said, as quick as we were able to turn it over, it didn't seem like it was as painstaking as it usually was, because we didn't have to go to all these places.
I procrastinated a little bit.
Well,
it was hard. It was
shocking to me.
It was pretty hard.
Usually, I was done with all my stories in 3 days.
Yeah.
Usually
that's me.
I think I had 8, 9 if you count the cover story. But going back real quick, one of the storylines, and I mentioned Fraser softball. I think, we know all the talent I have, but I think my key player for them is going to be Maria Felsher, because she's sliding into that shortstop position, I think. So. Can she bring the defense that Tori Wyszynski brought you last year?
And not even that, but the fact that she might get some more time in the circle like she did in that state playoff game. She's going to be because Madison Bednar obviously is a great pitcher. Yeah. Coming back from injury, it still might take some time for her to, fully get acclimated. You just never know coming off an injury like that. So Maria Felsher might be a big in that aspect as well.
And people, why are Hartman Sports so successful? Because they have players like Maria Felsher.
Who are willing to do whatever it takes to win.
And they are willing to sacrifice their individual success for what's best of the team. Fraser didn't have to go up and play that state playoff game last year. They could have just said, fine, we're going to float in. Maria said, no, we're playing. And she went in and did an outstanding job. And, I talked to Donnie a little bit, and he was saying how excited he is, just that premise. But he's also said, something we didn't mention, Grace Vaughn at third base. He said she's too good to move. And we know she's naturally a shortstop. She's too good at third base to move. I mean, she's incredible out there defensively for them.
He also said that, even Grayson might move into the outfield a little bit, right?
No, actually, Grayson may
Grayson might go to
over
short whenever Maria pitches.
If Maria's pitching, Grayson might slide over to short and put Beds at second base.
And that it also, not even just the fact that, Madison's coming off an injury, but, a lot of these softball teams have kind of talked about maybe limiting some of their pitchers, in terms of, games, just depending on what the section matchups and things like that are, to keep them fresh going into the playoffs.
And you know the best way to limit your pitcher's innings? Score 10 runs real quick.
Which is
10 or 15 runs, which a lot of our teams can do.
Let's be honest. You look at the power throughout that lineup, too. Jensen leading off, I imagine, like always. I mean, she just crushes the ball. You have Warnick's going to hammer the ball over the fence this year.
Their first practice, I was at their first practice when we had that, 65, 70-degree day. First at bats, Warnick, piss missiles right over, 300 feet.
They haven't even landed yet.
And she's been hitting PRs with velocity. Right. I've been following that.
She's up to 82, 83 exit velocity. Jensen hit a few. It was just rocket after rocket. Mm-hmm. Jensen actually got yelled at for hitting the scoreboard.
So it's like the days of Cat Barch again?
I was about to say it's the Cat Barch scoreboard. They actually should have just named it after her because of how many dents are in it because of balls that she's hit off of it.
It's going to be a real interesting season for sure.
Let's maybe just go through maybe some Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year candidates. Who you guys got on both sides?
I'm going to say our Pitcher of the Year on softball. I'm looking at Sophia Salashy.
Okay.
But the thing is, though, and I know Liam talked to Coach Tillman, she's one of those pitchers that they might want to watch how much she throws. Mm-hmm.
Like I said, a lot of softball teams are going to probably be doing that. Especially, this is the first time in a while I feel like where it's there is a lot of depth on the softball side, where coaches can kind of rely on a few different pitchers.
Softball side, I'm looking at either probably Metakosh again at Bell Vernon, or maybe either Warnick or Jensen at Frazier.
Okay.
I like both of those just for the fact, down to 1A, how much are those stats going to elevate that were already godlike last year for those two?
Right.
For the softball or baseball side, anything? Jeremy?
Baseball side, I'm not really sure. It's so wide open. I think Lorenzo Glasser is probably going to have a great year again. He had a decent year last year. He just didn't get the wins. He held teams down. It's just they didn't have enough offense and run support over at Ringgold. So I like him as my pitcher of the year. Maybe even as dark horse, I'm going to say maybe Parker Lynn from Bell Vernon. He came in last year just as a JV player, just eating up some innings for them, and ended up throwing really well. Mm-hmm. And now he's probably their top starter, maybe the number 2.
Yeah.
Player of the year wise, there's a lot of people you could really look at. You could look and see what Ben Shields is going to do at Charleroi this year. Obviously, that whole Sarah Catholic lineup is loaded.
Filled with Player of the Year candidates.
And the one person he didn't talk about a lot in there is Max Black.
Mm-hmm.
We know what he can do. I know Brian's kind of coy about it. He's not letting that cat out of the bag yet. So possibly him, but there's so many players on that team that it could be as well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other people. That RJ DiEugenio from right here in Monessen is a very good player, but can you put the pieces around him to let him get those stats?
He doesn't get the protection that you look at a Sarah baseball team. There's protection no matter where you hit in that lineup.
That
Monessen,
lineup,
you have no protection.
Yeah.
Right.
I think when it comes to baseball, we like you said, every year it's kind of Sarah is dominating everything. I'd be shocked if Zach Harp just doesn't continue what he's been doing the last couple of years. I think he's going to get the wins record. I think he's going to rack up the strikeouts. He's going to help lead this talented pitching staff. So I could see him winning a third straight Pitcher of the Year award. Player of the Year, I could see it being Joey DeMoss. I know he had a phenomenal year last year. I could see him really stepping into that role of being the guy in that lineup filled with talented guys. But with Zach Black out, I think that's going to be key for Joey DeMoss to be one of those key hitters. I think he's going to be a legitimate Player of the Year candidate. And I think on the softball side, in terms of player of the year, I think there's so many different options. I mean, Delaney Warnick should have a phenomenal year. So should Marin Medikosh, once again, the reigning state player of the year in 4A. Watch out for Melandra from Sarah Catholic. And you got to watch out for see what Julia Resnick does over at EF. You know, I mean, a lot of people have talked about her and said that, you know, she's just going to be a key impact player. You know, the younger sister of Anna Resnick, who was our player of the year a few years ago. So interested in seeing what she does. On the pitching side, you know, I'm interested in seeing what Shelby Telegdi does in her second year as the, you know, full-time starter. And interested in seeing what Sydney Bergman does in her first season as the pitcher in the circle, replacing Emma Augustine over at York. So, and then, you know, even a young pitcher over at Monessen, freshman Joey Hurst coming in as the starter for them. So,
Jeremy, what we learned here, Jose's not good at making decisions.
I'm not good at making decisions. I just named half the Mon Valley.
You just named half the Mon Valley.
But here's a couple sleepers too, and they're all from one team. Bell Vernon softball, Lexi Daniels is already the all-time home run leader.
Yep.
There. And the two Zabovics.
Who have been hard at work.
Yes.
Just trying to improve their games.
Their highlight videos of their training and stuff, they've been to all these camps. They're poised for a breakout year as well. So it's always.
See, I didn't name half the Valley. He just named like 3 other players I didn't name.
That's the other half, Jose.
Liam, what do you think?
Screw you, Jose.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Usually it's me throwing
You
that
have
out.
been naming names while we were naming names, so I figured that you just already named your names.
Actually, no. I mean, you brought all but one of mine were named.
Okay, who's the one?
Boys Player of the Year, Isaiah Petty.
Yeah, maybe.
But
He had a great offensive year last year. Very underrated, I feel like, offensively.
He's going to move probably to be the starting third baseman this year or second base, depending, you know, how that's going to work around the infield. But he's going to be more than just the DH pitcher, I think, this year for them. And he batted high average. He hit for some power last year, and he had a high number of RBIs. He's great on the base path. Obviously, everyone's going to get stolen. Everyone's in double-digit stolen bases for Sarah Catholic.
Yeah.
It's like Oprah out there. Everyone gets a stolen base.
Michael Shank rolling thunder, stealing second base
I think
all
Shank
the time.
had like 13.
He did. He had a lot.
20 stolen bases.
You know, everybody says that
fast.
Michael Shank's a great linebacker and a great pitcher and outfielder, and he is. But he's also a great punter and a great stealer of bases. Just want to say
No,
that.
but that's I mean, I think everyone else I can agree with those said, but I think that's just one person on the baseball side that we didn't say that I think is going to be huge this year because we know in high school athletics, confidence is key. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a kid at Sarah Catholic right now with more confidence, and rightfully so, than Isaiah Petty, the way he's played basketball season.
And you mentioned him. I think we saw that lack of confidence when he came into that playoff game.
It was
And
all
he
playoffs
walked,
last year.
He struggled, but I think that's really going to help him take a turn this year. It was a great learning experience for him as a young player. So I could agree with that. I could see it because that's going to be a big learning experience for him.
And
So
now
if you're wearing a Sarah Catholic uniform this year, you're probably on our radar in terms
Right.
of
Right.
Well, and I
terms
think
of
look
postseason
at
awards.
the game. I forget who they were playing, but their state qualifying game. That he hit the game-winning floater with like 2 seconds left in the game. I mean, that's a big-time stage.
Right, it's a big moment.
And now he's succeeded at big-time stages where maybe he struggled a little bit in years past. So I think he's going to get a huge step forward just confidence-wise. We already know all the abilities there for him and everybody else.
Yeah. Liam, do you have any names that we did not mention?
No. For mostly for baseball, in my mind, it was obviously kind of gravitating to Sarah, and I was gonna mention Isaiah Petty, and now he's just been mentioned. Other than that, no, because again, now moving over to softball, I'm just keeping this very quick because again, I don't really have anyone to
I know this is your first baseball and softball season. with us,
Yeah.
So
So
He came around during the postseason.
Yeah,
would
it
say
was
this, yeah.
because I was gonna say I
You-
saw
you did
Shelby
have-
Telegdi a lot last year.
You
and I
did
was
have
impressed.
one, though, that you talked to. I don't know if you talked to him, but Lance Vickers is a player. to
I
watch.
was gonna bring up, one.
Anytime
one of the
you have
guys
that
from
coach's
TJ,
kid,
yeah.
he plays a pivotal role as a catcher. He's probably he should probably be somebody that's on our radar as well.
What about Hunter Mamie too? I think someone.
be.
Yeah.
He's a kid not I'm not saying necessarily player of the year, but someone to at least look
Absolutely.
coming this year. That's a kid definitely not lacking confidence and wants to help Lorenzo Glasser get some other people behind him trying to help that rest of that Rams pitching staff.
And that's the thing about this area as a whole, though. The talent level is so deep. I mean, look, we just talked about baseball. We didn't mention any of the kids from Bell Vernon. Adam Lecart, Wessel. I mentioned Parker Lynn, but, I mean, they just – Martin Marion's back on track, it looks like. He's not going to miss this year.
You have Colton Lee out of the
Colton
bullpen.
Lee, he's their probably number 1 or number 2 starter as well. So, I mean, it's just all around top to bottom, 1 through 14. You got Landon Urco at Bentworth, who he just kicks ass at every sport he plays. It don't matter what it is. Soccer, basketball, he averaged almost 25 points a game.
I think he's on a track team, too.
I mean, he might be. I don't know. And he's
so.
probably on their water polo team, too. Who knows? But whatever it is, he's going to be, he's going to be doing a great job.
He's straight up Ricky Bobby, right? He wakes up.
Which we will say,
Pisses excellence.
Bentworth, while they are not in the tab, they are going to lead off the coverage on B1 tomorrow as well with their previews. So, but yeah, I mean, the talent level is just so deep here, and we're blessed to be able to not only bring it to you, but just get to watch and get to know these players.
And we also didn't even mention half the kids from Yock, the defending section champions over with the Yock baseball team. Our buddy Dan Palm, former MVI freelance writer, taking over there, back in a head coaching role. So a lot of talent there on that Yock Cougars team, a lot of talent around the Mon Valley. But excited to see where this all goes. Excited to see who makes some noise. I'm excited to just be outside.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, we get besides this weekend.
Maybe not Friday, but
Friday, 100% chance of rain.
I'm excited
20
to be
30
outside.
mile-an-hour wind gust. Yikes!
Every other day this summer or this spring. So, yeah, pick up a copy of the baseball softball tab tomorrow in the Mon Valley Independent. It'll be a insert featured in tomorro's paper. So
check out the documentary tonight.
Yep, check out the documentary tonight, 7 p.m.
It's just 33 minutes, not very long.
33 minutes features interviews from Alex Lyons and features some stuff from us as well. So shout out to Chad Corrado for working on that. That'll be on our MVI Live YouTube channel tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll have some links on our social media as well, so be sure to check that out.
We already tweeted it out from the sports account, so check it out. Yeah,
so check that out. Am I missing anything? I feel like my brain is kind of all over the place right now.
In terms of spring sports?
Yeah.
We'll start getting to some track previews this week, hopefully, the next couple days. I know we just got the Charleroi track preview sent to us, so we'll have that probably Monday or Tuesday. But other than that, looking at some other stuff, we got to go ahead.
Let's talk about today's paper. Just what was in today's paper. Obviously, it might segue into what you were going to talk about.
But no, go ahead. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, softball season will start on the beach at James Weir Stadium this weekend for the MVI First Pitch Showcase. A couple of different teams, 5 teams, 4 local, will participate in the games that will be featured on the turf this weekend. Jeremy, you want to kind of run through that schedule and talk a little bit about how this all came about?
Yeah, starting off on Friday. Well, the first pitch came about last year. Actually, it started the COVID year. We did the senior swing tournament, giving kids a chance to play. It turned into the first pitch tournament. Talking with Coach Hartman over at Fraser, we really tried to develop it. We played it last year at Fraser over 2 weekends because of the weather. This year, not as many teams are involved as last year. Hopefully, we bring that number back up next year. But this year, opening matchup, 2 o'clock on Friday, Fraser and Fraser and Thomas Jefferson. The 2 teams were supposed to open up at TJ anyway, but they're going to do it here at the beach. Second matchup at 4 o'clock is Bell Vernon and South Allegheny, 2 local teams there. It's our first look at the heavy-hitting Leopards, as well as South Allegheny, who they had a couple big losses, so it's going to be interesting to see. They got a new coach and a freshman starting pitcher, so it's going to be interesting to see how they turn this season around. And Saturday at noon, it is Fraser and South Allegheny, and then at 2 o'clock, Latrobe is coming down for their game against Bell Vernon. Again, it was a game that was scheduled a little bit later in the year. We moved it up so they could play here. And that's one thing teams want to take advantage of playing on the turf so they get these games in. And then at 4 o'clock is a JV game between Bell Vernon and Latrobe as well. So, but we'll have the first 4 games will be streamed, of course, weather permitting. Alex probably will head to the press box.
I might also be in the press box with you.
As much as I don't normally like that, it's
but Bell Vernon, the way it's set up, we will have a good view of everything.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I'm actually interested. Where is that being set up? Because I actually have never. I know they've played games on the turf before.
I covered a game, and it'd be the same way. On the press box side of the stadium, the 50-yard line, that's where home plate will be.
Okay, so we'll be right there.
We'll be right there.
Right behind the
home plate, but then they go towards the road.
Okay.
So the first baseline is the near sideline. Third baseline is the 50-yard line.
Gotcha.
Then you have the 2 fences. I'm not sure what we're doing. We might leave it, or we might have a temporary fence, to shorten center field. But that's how it'll be set up. The bases are just, they just lay on the turf. They're the heavy rubber bases, so they don't move to prevent injury and everything. So I was there a few years ago when they played Latrobe. Interesting, hitting bombs onto the metal bleachers. You get the big smack.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I like about this is, there's no money being made from us. It's all fundraiser for Nathan Stanfield, who his mom is a teacher at Marion Elementary with my sister. He has leukemia. So there's no admission price, but they will be collecting at the gate if you can donate to that cause. I know it's something that Bell Vernon has been donating a lot over the last
He's also a
few
sophomore.
weeks. He's a sophomore at Bell Vernon High School. So all the proceeds are going to a good cause. So, come in. There will not be a concession stand, so feel free to bring any food, drinks, anything you want to bring with you. Just mainly because of the start times and everything, we couldn't get people in place to, do that kind of stuff. But, a good cause. It's going to be fun to kick off the season this way. I'm hoping we can do it again next year. Like I said, the way the stadium's set up, if we get more teams next year, we could play simultaneously. Mm-hmm. You could play 2 games or play JV games like we did last year at Frazier. So it's something we're going to look at after this tournament's over as we move ahead to next year, try to get some early commitments and stuff. So. But yeah, it should be fun.
Excited for the first pitch of the softball season to be Friday and Saturday at good old James Ware Stadium on the gold turf at the beach. In some other news, in today's Mon Valley Independent, I apparently owned the bottom of the sports section.
You did.
Thomas Jefferson, a 7-2 loss to number 1 Armstrong in the semifinals of the PIHL Penguins Cup Class 2A bracket. Tough loss for the defending champion Jaguars as their bid to repeat came to an end. Armstrong advances to face number 2 South Fayette in next week's championship game at the UPMC Lemieux Sports Complex in Cranberry Township. Also had a story on Elizabeth Ford's Maddie McLean, who is competing in the state swimming meet tomorrow in the 500 freestyle WPIAL qualifier. Her freshman, sophomore, and senior years, first time at the state meet, had to overcome a pretty extensive hip surgery and missed all of her junior season, so had to really overcome some adversity to make it to the state meet. So the fact that she's swimming there and has had so much success this season is a pretty cool story. So I was able to talk with her, talk a little bit with her dad, Brian McLean, about her procedure and the recovery process that was pretty tough for her to navigate, but she was able to overcome it and have a successful senior year now at Bucknell University to swim for potentially a state championship. So congratulations to Maddie McLean. Congratulations to all of our local swimmers. Have a ton of local talent from Elizabeth Ford, Thomas Jefferson, Bell Vernon. I know I may be missing Sarah Catholic. I believe Kelly Morrissey is there from Sarah Catholic. So a ton of talent from the Mon Valley swimming over at Bucknell University. So congratulations to all of them. Best of luck to them this week. Aside from that, I know obviously swimming season is coming to a close. A couple basketball teams remaining. Sarah Catholic heading to Du Bois. The boys are heading there for a state playoff game tonight. I will be heading to good old Norwood High School, my alma mater. Go Knights. to watch the McKeesport girls take on the Penn Trafford Warriors in a quarterfinal matchup in Class 5A. Winner of that matchup may be facing Oakland Catholic. We might see a round 4 between McKeesport and Oakland Catholic in the state playoffs if they are able to get past Penn Trafford and if Oakland Catholic can win their matchup. So interesting to see if that happens. But basketball season's coming to a close. Like we mentioned, hockey, we still have the Ringgold Rams, who will be in action tomorrow against Deer Lakes.
Yes.
I had to snap a few times just to remember it. They will be facing Deer Lakes tomorrow night. 8:30, I believe, is the drop of the puck over at the RMU Island Sports Center. So still have the Rams looking to try to win a D2 title. I know we'll have coverage of that by our friends from over at the Trib. We'll give us some coverage of that late matchup.
First game was a 1-goal game.
Yeah.
That Ringgold should have took to overtime. Kierch missed an empty net on a backdoor feed, but that's a game that's going to be outstanding.
Exciting to see. Obviously TJ fell short last night, but still have a chance to maybe get a team over to Cranberry.
6 straight semifinal appearance for Ringgold as well. So
Coach
Kalinowski, they've got it done, and I think it's a lot of it. You got star power. You got AJ Shaft, fantastic for Deer Lakes. You got Cadwater, most goals in D2, second most points. He actually might be most after 7 points against Burrell, but it's going to, I think, come down. Ben Coral's been the best goalie in the PIHL this year, especially at the D2 level. Colin Moffitt, just a freshman. Last year, it was a blunder between a senior defenseman and a freshman goalie kind of colliding on the Shanix game-winning goal. I think that's going to be a big test. How does the freshman match up against the senior?
And it's not surprising considering the amount of success we've seen it over the last several years that Ringgold has had, really since 2019 when they won that D2 title with, I believe Noah Schroeder was the captain back then. You had Justin Day on the team. I think I don't know if Bradley Budaj was on that team or not. 19? Was he on that team?
Was their leading scorer that year. I believe Kalinowski's son was part of that
Zach
one.
was on that team.
Saylor, Bollinger would have all been there. And then the next year was the year they were supposed to play Carrick, got canceled.
And the year that they were supposed to go to the national championships as well in Texas, and COVID kind of ruined all that. But, this is a Ringgold team that has really kind of maintained that level of success in D2 and a chance to potentially get to another championship game.
And there'll be a new king this year no matter what. And the Shannick lost in the quarters to Connellsville, so now it's Bishop Canavan, Connellsville, Ringgold, Deer Lakes. And, I think everyone, if you're just a hockey fan, obviously we're hoping the Rams get there, but I think a lot of people are hoping for that Deer Lakes Bishop Canavan matchup for the third time that they've split this year. And I think Ringgold, they have the potential to upset BC as well. That was a 2-1 meeting on the last game of the regular season between those two schools if we get that matchup.
Right. And it's that time of year where winter and spring sports just kind of collide. The ending of basketball and hockey season, teams that are probably going to go into next week. McKeesport, I think, should win considering they won pretty easily over PT earlier this season. And then Ringgold a chance to advance to next week's championship game, which will be Thursday, I believe, right, at UPMC. So excited to see what those teams can do as we get into our spring sports season, and we're looking forward to that as well. But anything else we haven't? We obviously have to congratulate our 3-time state champion, right?
Absolutely.
We can't go through that without giving a shout-out to Rune Lawrence and what he was able to do. 3 consecutive state titles for the Fraser Standout, looking to make it 4 in a row next year.
I think my favorite thing about that is...
I was trying to fix my headphones.
Okay.
So
Is it good?
I'm good. I'm good now.
Rune had that, 24 straight matches with the pin?
Yeah.
Then a hard-fought win in the quarterfinals, 1-0. And how does he respond? Back-to-back pins then the state championship.
Well, he got hurt in that quarterfinal match, too. I think he hurt his ankle.
Yeah.
He was just toying with guys the whole time.
He was. Rune's
From the
so
highlights
talented.
I saw, he was just messing with them.
And that's what he did last year. I didn't get the chance to go out this year like I did last year, but it was fun to watch. Maddox Shaw had a great showing, so close for
Chris
him.
Vargo had a great showing as well from Bentworth.
I think Maddox finished second.
I believe so. And I think Vargo finished second too, right?
And Maddox, he's a great individual, great kid, and so close once again this year. But, wrestling's strong in the Valley, too. It's strong in the state of Pennsylvania.
If you're Maddox Shaw, you still have to think of this season as a big accomplishment. I mean, winning a WPIAL title, especially after coming so close last season. I know that was probably one of his goals to get back there after coming so close. coming so close to a state title, I know that probably stings too, but, still a very successful season.
Just take
for
a
the
stepping
TJ.
stone forward the next year.
And he's only a sophomore, correct, this year? I think he's going to be a
so.
junior.
Who's that?
Maddox Shaw.
Shaw.
He's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
Yes.
So still, 2 more years to kind of build
And
on those
we've
goals.
seen him build. Like the success he had this year versus last. I mean, he's just been. He's going to be someone to continue to improve, and he's helped continue to fill. How good Ryan Finnery was.
Right.
Him and Cole Waitman kind of back and forth of that heavyweight matchup all year. And now Shaw's kind of taking the realm as that number 1 wrestler, Thomas Jefferson.
And we got to give a shout out to our pal Jonathan Guth from over at the Daily Courier for all his coverage, his wrestling coverage to help us out. Really just top-notch work that he does, and we really appreciate what he's been able to do to help us as well, especially with his coverage of Maddox Shaw. That's not in the Daily Courier's coverage area, so for him to do that for us, we really appreciate his work. So. But congratulations to Rune Lawrence. Congratulations to on great seasons by Maddox Shaw and Chris Vargo. It was another successful year for those wrestlers.
Yep. Good year for him.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to touch on high school wise? I do have some grind my gears today.
I don't think we're have much going on.
No, aside from pick up a copy of tomorrow's Mon Valley Independent, like we said, for First Pitch 2023. Have 2 Bentworth previews in tomorrow's on B1 for tomorrow, Bentworth baseball and softball. I'll have coverage of tonight's McKeesport girls game against Penn Trafford at
Speaking
the house
of
that
girls'
Jose
games,
built.
do we have to Jose, or are we just going to skip it?
What?
What mean you were supposed to do with girls basketball today?
No,
gotta
I don't
skip
know
it.
if we could do that
We got to
anymore.
skip it, I think.
Yeah, I think we should.
I'm with you.
skip
I
it.
just want to put it out there before people yell at us.
Yeah,
and
I mean, we'll do it at some point. I don't even know if anybody even remembers what we did 2 weeks ago.
I'm hoping not. That's why I just wanted to throw that out there. I want us to be getting.
If people want us to do it, just let us know and we'll do it.
We'll do it.
We don't have to do it right now.
I like the way you're thinking there.
Yeah, do we want to? You have any axes to grind, or what's your segment called again? I don't know. You haven't done it in like 3
Airing
months.
of grievances.
Yeah,
or
do you have
something.
grievances to air? I mean, you seem like you've been pretty upbeat lately.
I've been pretty upbeat. Got the tab done relatively early. Thought about getting into the Monessen High School bus gate situation, but it's probably better that I just don't. So.
Yeah, probably not. So nothing?
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. I'm good. I'm happy.
I mean, I do have one thing. You guys know what really grinds my gears?
Let's hear it, Jose.
The fact that, Steeler fans and even local media and things like that care so much about Patrick Peterson posting a picture of him wearing the number
Jesus.
7. Like, who cares?
I also was, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you.
Like, he's definitely, like, I don't care if he wears it or not, but, like, it was obviously a photo. I don't know if you saw the picture on
like
Twitter.
the
It was
edit,
obviously
yeah.
a photo edit of him wearing the number 7 because he was number 7 in Minnesota. I know he said he wanted to wear it, but then he also said, hey, I'm not going to. And people were still, like, up in arms. Like, I get that Ben Roethlisberger was such a huge part of this franchise and did so much, but also it's not even like it's retired.
Right.
Like, it's just a number. Who cares? And he said he's not doing it, so why do we keep talking about it?
Yeah, and people are overreact about everything.
Steeler fans overreact about everything.
Hey, I mean, but let's also remember the fact, now the Philadelphia Eagles suck again. They've lost everybody. They just released Darius Slade today, too. I mean, they've literally been picked apart.
I mean, I would not say that they're
not. They don't.
They're
suck.
probably going to draft really well, and they're probably going to make some trades.
Their defense has been picked apart. I'll put it that way.
we look at what they were able to do in last year's draft, not just by the draft, but just the acquisitions that they made. This is a team that's going to be active when it comes April, and I think this is a team that offensively they're still going to be one of the best teams in football. I mean, when you have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts who could do so much, you have a talented wide receiver core. Led by A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, even a guy like Zach Pascal, Greg Ward. I mean, so many talented.
Offensively, they're good.
And Jason Kelsey's coming back. So
offensively, they're good.
Defensively, they got to make some moves, but I think they're going to. So.
They've lost a lot.
Yeah.
I think I already saw, 5 guys off that starting defense at least are gone.
Yeah,
That was
Slay,
Bradbury.
T.J. Edwards.
Bradbury.
The two linebackers,
Yeah.
Edwards and the other one.
The Bears they're rolling right now.
Bears are doing everything.
The Bears still have Justin Fields at quarterback, though.
Justin Fields will be fine. Relax. He will be fine.
I mean, that trade was amazing. They couldn't have asked for much more.
Right.
Yeah. I'm kind of somewhat of a Carolina Panthers fan. Like I just like the Panthers for some strange reason. I don't even know why. It was cool to see them get the first overall pick, but it wasn't really cool to see them trade the first overall pick's number 1 target.
I wouldn't be surprised if they trade that though.
The first overall pick?
I
don't know. They gave up a lot for it. I don't know if they're going to trade them.
I could see them. Yeah, they gave up a lot for it, but think of it this way: you trade back down to 4.
Right.
And okay, you traded back down to 4. You get one of your first-round picks back, a second-round pick, and then what did you trade? You traded basically a second-round pick and DJ Moore to move up from 9 to 4.
I mean, I think that if they traded for that first overall pick, they obviously have Bryce Young in mind.
But apparently they don't.
Right.
They said they like 4 guys.
Yeah, you hear Anthony Richardson being thrown, who, by the way, can't throw a football. I can't believe the hype between him and
Levis.
And watched Will Levis at Penn State, who was a
Levis,
backup and
guys,
never
here's
did
the big
anything.
question. Okay,
Levis didn't start over
Levis
Sean
didn't start over
Clifford.
Sean Clifford.
This is the big
People
question.
think he's going to be the next Josh
Nothing
Allen.
matters. How big are his hands? That's what matters.
I don't understand.
Does he wear 2 gloves?
And it's the same thing they said about Joe Flacco, who couldn't beat out Tyler Palko at Pitt either.
Yeah, I don't.
Dude, he's elite.
I don't understand.
Like, don't get me wrong, Levis has an absolute cannon of an arm, but it doesn't matter.
I think he has a lot better of a chance than Richardson does. But I mean, I think Richardson would make an incredible tight end.
I just feel like they don't.
I don't think
this
he
is
can
the
throw the ball well enough. I mean, his decision making was consistently poor at Florida.
I think this could age very badly, but I think, in all honesty, this might be
Ice
one
cold
of the most.
takes.
This might be one of the most overhyped quarterback classes of all time. Because here's the thing.
I think Stroud might be. I liked him coming into this year as the best, and then
there might be
Young
no
kinda
guarantee
overtook him,
Bryce
but-
Young's going to last more than 3 years in the NFL with his size.
Is it because he's 4'8"?
Like,
That-
you look
that
at this,
picture
Bryce
next
Young
to,
is so small.
that picture next
Still
to
taller
who
than
was
me.
it? It was an analyst. I can't remember her name, but like he was barely taller than her. Like it was so funny.
I saw he was like side by side with a tight end who's only like 5'10", and he looked like so much smaller.
Did you see they misheighted the Georgia tight end?
No.
Yeah,
He
I
was
did.
standing
I
next to
just-
Zach
I just
Kuntz,
saw
who was like
another
6'7",
upgrade,
and he's like, this guy's listed at
Update on it,
6'2", and I'm like, Zach Kuntz is 6'7", and that's not right.
He was taller than him.
and
Yeah.
then like all the Georgia fans are like, yeah, he's like 6'9".
I don't remember how he got here.
We were talking about the Eagles, and then the Steelers have made moves.
That's not even how we got here. I was grinding gears about the jersey number. And then
No,
all
that's
of a
how we got to
sudden
the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, the Steelers signed Holcomb today.
Yeah.
They've
I
signed
like
Patrick
that, dude.
Peterson. I do too.
I
mean,
like what Omar Khan's cooking
I
right
like.
now.
I like every move besides the Ogunjobi move, and I'm okay with bringing him back. I just don't like the 3-year
Thought he
contract.
overpaid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys. It doesn't matter what they do defensively. Did you know the Steelers have Kenny Pickett?
I did.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Kenny Pickett can play every position, okay? He's Kenny Pickett.
And they're still going to end up drafting a cornerback now, first round.
If they take,
They're taking
Jeremy is very against the Joey Porter Jr.
He's
move.
so good. He's going to be fantastic in the NFL.
Joey's
He's
gonna
going to
be
be so good. I'm not going to lie.
nope.
He's going to be. He's got the length. He's got. No one even threw his way last year.
He got
He's
the
going to be
speed.
really good.
I think Joey's going to be good. I don't want to take him in the first round. They need offensive tackle.
Yeah, there's.
Or let's
bigger
just hope
needs.
Jalen Carter continues to fall. But I know they said the Bears would stop it now.
Maybe the Steelers should trade for that number 1 overall pick.
Let's trade the entire organization.
Just go with a Bears-like move and trade Deontay Johnson
I'd
along
be fine with trading Deontay
along with
Johnson.
all of your picks for the first overall pick. You draft a really awful quarterback.
You trade Deontay Johnson and all his touchdowns this year. Oh, wait.
We had as many touchdowns.
Remember,
as he did.
remember the Packers didn't give Aaron Rodgers the right weapons, but the Jets got to go get all those weapons.
Right.
Even though they already have
Yeah,
them.
Alan
Like,
Lazard.
Lazard, Lewis, and
Alan
For
Lazard is like
11 million
immediately like the third best receiver on that team.
$11 million a year for Alan Lazard.
For a guy who's not a number 1
I
receiver.
could probably make like minimum wage in the NFL if he's making $11 million a year. That's
Garrett Wilson
crazy.
is better than Alan Lazard. You can argue
Yes.
that even Elijah Moore is better than Alan Lazard.
Yes,
Is Corey Davis still on that team?
I think so.
Yeah.
They didn't
I think
trade him.
he's better than Alan Lazard.
But Corey Davis is probably getting traded.
probably. Who else they have?
Where'd Braxton Berrios end up?
They released him, I
Yeah, I
thought.
thought so.
I don't know. He didn't sign yet, though. But, well, man,
He's not better.
the
than
NFL is
Alonso.
just a crazy place. Baker Mayfield's in Tampa Bay now.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he's in a battle with Kyle Trask for the starting job.
Jameis Winston's going back to
Kyle Trask hasn't even played
Saints.
a game in the NFL, and I think he's better than Baker Mayfield.
Probably. And then you got, what?
We love Kyle Trask.
Loved him.
Me and Jeremy were very much adamant on the Steelers drafting Kyle Trask and trusting him to be the face of the franchise.
I thought him or I think Davis Mills was also in that draft, but
Yeah.
as you see, that was not.
Kyle
not a good
Trask,
idea.
we said it on every single podcast, I feel like, that the Steelers should draft Kyle Trask, and they didn't. You know why? Because they don't watch the Valley Sports Guys
Remember,
podcast.
Taylor Heineke's now the backup to Desmond Ritter.
Or is Desmond Ritter the backup
They-
to Taylor Heineke?
They said they said Ritter's the starter.
Also, I just want to point out that Jeremy called the Alan Lazard signing 15 minutes before it happened.
I did.
I'm a witness of that because I texted him and said, well, there you go, Alan Lazard to the Jets. Anyways,
They're gonna trade for Romeo Dobbs too.
I guess so. I mean, you got to give him
Bring Aaron Jones
give
with
him,
you.
you got to give him a six solid wide receivers for him to do anything, for them to lose in the first round. But anyways, we kind of got off track here. But is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we close this thing out? We're only a little bit over an hour in. This was very not scripted. We didn't script any of this stuff. That's kind of why we're kind of just having little lulls here. But
That's what happens when we're busy.
yeah, it's just been it's been a busy time here with the Mon Valley Independent Sports guys. But we appreciate all the support that we've been getting. We're excited to continue to bring our coverage. I feel like the seasons just never end because right now we're in winter/spring sports, and it just snowed a couple days ago. It doesn't feel like it's right. It's time for baseball and softball, but here we are.
Look, I'm excited again. Like Alex said, go outside. The sun's shining on you while you're covering a game.
And like I said, this is your first full baseball softball season
Yeah,
with us.
yeah.
So.
I enjoyed it a lot. Like the tail end of last year, obviously all the games were high stakes and everything by the time I was kind of coming in. But I'll enjoy seeing the whole season, the whole process.
We know that you prefer Elizabeth Township municipal meetings over sports coverage, but it's okay. We forgive you.
I have no comment on that. I enjoy everything I do.
We know you do. We know you do. You've done a phenomenal job over on the news side and here on the sports side. And if you see Liam at baseball and softball games, give him a smile.
Thanks. I'll give you one right back.
But thank you for everybody for tuning in to episode number 78 of the Valley Sports Guys podcast. Is it kind of crazy that we've done 78 of these? Do you remember? Do you remember episode number one?
We've come.
Do you remember episode
Yeah,
number one?
I do.
I don't.
I do.
What happened? You remember everything that happened in episode number one. I don't even know if it's on. Is it even on our page?
Probably not.
That's pretty crazy.
We've been through a lot.
We've been through a lot.
We're chugging away to 100, though.
78 episodes over, 3 years or so. But we wouldn't be anywhere else. We love doing this. We love being able to provide coverage, both in the print edition of the Mon Valley Independent, online, through MVI Live. We really do a lot. So, but we could not do it without all of your support. We really appreciate all the kind words and everybody doing what they do for us. Delana Davis, just all in the chat. With her support is just
Always.
unbelievable. We appreciate you, Delana. But yeah, we got nothing else. I guess we can sign off here. Again, we will be here every 2 weeks now, kind of a different schedule.
Yep.
But in 2 weeks, we'll be here to talk a little bit about the start of the baseball softball season. Again, pick up a copy of tomorrow's Mon Valley Independent for our baseball softball preview insert, which will be featured in tomorrow's print edition. Be sure to check it out on your online edition. Be sure to come down to James Weir Stadium Friday and Saturday. Come hang out with us as we provide coverage of a nice two-day event.
Pay attention to Twitter. We'll let you know if there's cancellations, delays.
Yes, we
that
will
kind
have
of
weather
stuff.
updates on social media for the action going on this weekend. But we're excited to get going with the spring season, excited to cover the rest of the winter sports season. But for Jeremy Slew, for Alex Lyons, for Liam Bell, and I'm Jose Negron. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks. We will see you this weekend, hopefully. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everyone.